Every single relationship in your life, whether it's your love life, your career, all of it, it's really just built on a series of conversations. And if you can make each of those conversations just a little bit better, well, everything in your life can change. So today, we're going to break down a really simple framework from a wildly popular Harvard course that can do just that.
Okay, let's be honest. Have you ever walked away from a chat and you just keep replaying it in your head? You're thinking, oh, why did I say that? Or, oh, I wish I had brought this up. Yeah, we've all been there. It's that sinking feeling that you just missed a connection or maybe even created a misunderstanding. The good news is there's a reason this happens and it's surprisingly simple to fix.
So, according to Harvard professor Alison Woodbrooks, the biggest barrier to really good communication, it isn't something you're doing wrong on purpose. It's actually something that's baked right into our DNA. It's called egocentrism. Our brains are hardwired for survival, right? They're constantly filtering the world through our own eyes, our own needs, our own fears. And, while that kept us alive out on the savannah, in today's world, it's the very thing that stops us from truly connecting with other people.
But here is the really good news. You do not need a PhD to get over this. Professor Woodbrooks came up with this surprisingly simple four-part framework to help her Harvard Business School students completely master the art of conversation. And it's called the TALK framework.
It all breaks down into four pillars. T is for topics, A is for asking, L is for levity, and K is for kindness. These four simple letters, they're going to be your new roadmap to having way better, more meaningful conversations. So let's dive into the first one. All right, first up, T is for topics. Now, this seems kind of obvious, doesn't it? It's about what we actually talk about. But there's a shockingly easy strategy you can use before a conversation even begins that makes a massive, massive difference. Think about it. When you're getting ready for a big day or an important meeting, you plan your outfit, right? You do your hair, you figure out where you're going to meet. But here's a pretty startling fact from the research. Only about 10% of us spend any time at all thinking about what we're actually going to talk about. And the power of just a tiny shift here is incredible. I mean, studies show that spending just 30 seconds, brainstorming a few potential topics before a conversation makes it way more enjoyable, more fluent, and you actually feel less anxious. And get this, even if you don't use the topics you prepped, just having them in your back pocket gets rid of that panicky feeling when the conversation hits a lull. So, how do you actually think about topics in a useful way? Well, a great mental model to use is the topic pyramid. Think of it as your roadmap for taking a conversation from, the surface level to something much more meaningful. See, at the bottom, you've got small talk. The weather, how was your weekend, that kind of stuff. It's a necessary starting point, but the key is not to get stuck there. The goal is to use that small talk to search for pathways to the middle layer, tailored talk. This is more personalized, things you know they're interested in. And from there, if the connection feels right, you can reach the peak, deep talk. These are those magical moments of real, genuine understanding. And that topic prep is what gives you the confidence to climb that pyramid. Now, once you have your topics, how do you navigate them? Well, that brings us to A for asking. This right here is your conversational superpower because it's the direct antidote to that egocentrism we were just talking about. It completely shifts the focus from you to them. Here's the key mindset shift you need to make. Stop trying to be interesting and just focus on being interested. It's a huge difference. When we try to be interesting, we end up just talking about ourselves, maybe even bragging a little, and it creates this constant pressure to perform. But when you are genuinely interested in the other person, connection, it happens almost effortlessly. It's so much easier. Professor Woodbrooks puts it perfectly. She says, our failure to see things from someone else's point of view is a massive barrier in conversation, and asking questions is the most direct way to get inside their head and understand what they're truly thinking and feeling. It's a direct path to connection. And of course, asking questions, that's only half the equation, right? It only works if you're actually listening to the answers. And listening isn't just waiting for your turn to talk. It's about really processing what they've said and, crucially, showing the other person that they've been heard. It is the essential glue for this entire framework. So the final two letters, L and K, they're all about the emotional tone of the conversation. They're what make an interaction feel good and respectful, not just, effective. Let's start with L for levity. So when we think of a really bad conversation, our minds usually go to conflict or anger. But what's the much more common, quieter killer of connection? It's boredom.
Simple disengagement. The moment one person mentally checks out, the connection is lost. And the antidote to boredom is levity. Now, this is not about being a stand-up comedian. It's about bringing those small moments of humor and warmth and energy that pull people back in and make the whole interaction genuinely enjoyable. And finally, K is for kindness. This is your tool for navigating those really tough moments. Let's say someone makes a belittling comment. Our instinct is to get defensive. Instead, try this 3-step recipe for a kind but firm response. First, acknowledge what you heard them say. Second, affirm their feeling or maybe their positive intention. Something like, I know you're only saying that because you care about me. And third, clearly explain the impact their words had on you. But when you say it that way, it doesn't feel very helpful. This de-escalates conflict while still respecting your own feelings. So, what's the real payoff here? What actually happens when you start using this TALK framework? It's not just about having nicer chats. It fundamentally changes how people see you. It all comes down to what researchers call status. And let's be super clear, we're not talking about your job title or how much money you make. Status, in this context, is all about how much you are liked, respected, and how much influence you have within your social circles, at work, with your friends, in your family. It's your ability to be heard and admired. And here it is, the ultimate payoff. When you become a better communicator using the TALK framework, you naturally gain this kind of status. You have more influence, you forge deeper connections, you earn more respect, and honestly, you just have a lot more fun interacting with all the people in your life. So I'll leave you with this thought. Don't try to master everything all at once. Just focus on the easiest, simplest tool we talked about, that 30-second topic prep. What's one conversation you have coming up, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, that you could make just a little bit better with only 30 seconds of thought? Start there. It's a tiny step that can lead to a really big change.